All right, guys, do you want to know the 5 main questions that you should be asking in all your cover letters? And these are the 5 questions that help me beat my competition. And stick around. Hey everyone. Well, if you're new to my channel, welcome to the newest, meaning smallest, and the most chill place to learn about freelancing and entrepreneurship, business, corporate law, yes, and social media. Subscribe if you'd like, and especially if you like what you see, but no pressure. All right. So also I want to say hey girl hey to my American, Canadian, South African, Namibian, Botswana, and Nigerian viewers. Thank you so much for the DMs, the comments, and the kind messages. Speaking of messages, today's featured comment is by Jacinta Mumba. So Jacinta says, Freelancing, can you recommend courses to help succeed in freelancing? I've been writing articles, but I haven't made any money and I don't have any proposals. Well, Jacinta, that's okay. Watch my previous video on how to send a proposal. You can literally watch me send the proposal live in real time. But to answer your question, and thank you so much again for your comment, Jacinta, there are many freelancing courses out there, and some of them are really expensive, guys. So I highly recommend that number 1, start reading books by freelancers who are where you want to be. So how do you validate that they are who they say they are? What you can firstly do is do some recon. Check the author out on LinkedIn, check them out on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. If they have content out there, or they have awards, or they're certified by a platform, like for me, I'm Upwork certified as an expert, or they have certain accolades, or they're verified somewhere, then they can back up their claim and you can take their advice. So look for freelancing books with ratings that are very, very high from verified buyers, okay? Not a bunch of 5 stars that could be bots. These people have to be verified buyers. And once you've found your book, read a small sample. And you can check out, another thing that you can do is open up the table of contents, especially on Amazon.com. You can look at what chapters the book is going to cover. And if you like what you're reading, then go ahead and make the purchase. Now, ever since I started the very free Get Paid Now Beta Bootcamp, I have continuously, personally emphasized to its more than 10 cohorts that books are a freelancer's best friend. They are a beginner freelancer's best friend. Now, you may not be an expert, right? But by reading a book, especially a book that's written by an expert, you'll know a lot more than any other freelancer that still needs to be shown the ropes about the client's particular niche. Second tip I would give you, Jacinta, is to listen to podcasts that are created by these best-selling authors. So for instance, I bought The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Then I went ahead and subscribed to Tim Ferriss's YouTube channel. Then I went ahead and subscribed to the Tim Ferriss podcast. Another thing I did was bought Choose Yourself by James Altucher. Then I went ahead and subscribed to the James Altucher podcast. And then I found out he also has a YouTube channel. So I subscribed to the James Altucher YouTube channel. Then I also found James Altucher on Quora. So I, of course, followed James Altucher on Quora. And wherever these people are, they're always dropping dimes. And that's how you validate that this person is who they say they are. And more often than not, freelancing authors will also have YouTube channels and podcasts. And if you like what you read, and you want to keep enjoying that low cost and sometimes even free content by these maestros, then go on their website and check to see if they have any other free content. And while you're on their website, Jacinta, reach out to these authors. You wouldn't believe how flattered many of these authors will be to receive an email from a reader. You also wouldn't believe how many of these authors have a course or 2 that you can purchase, and it won't be like super duper expensive, like a $2,000 boot camp. Like what? So depending on your niche, the right author and the right course for you is going to differ. But if you just use those 3 steps, that I've just given you, you should be well on your way, Jacinta. Freelancing can be quite lonely, so it's nice to be able to reach out to people who have been where you are and are enjoying the fruit of their labor, and they're where you want to be, right? Speaking of community, join our small, it's less than 100 members, it's like less than 100 members. It's a small little Facebook group, but it's also a secret. It's in the pinned comments below. I'm not going to say its name because it's a secret, right? Be sure to answer the membership questions so we'll know how to help you once you're inside and you're a member of the community. I usually host ad hoc, meaning they're not really like set on a schedule, trainings for free inside the group. Those trainings are based on the most frequently asked freelancing questions. And we also share anecdotes and articles and information about working and how to sustainably be freelancers while hitting certain income milestones. So get in there, get in there. Without further ado, let's get into the 5 questions that you need to ask your clients in your cover letter that'll increase the odds of you getting the client or the client getting back to you. All right, guys, so these are the questions that are going to help you start beating the competition. Question number 1. Ask the client how much research they've already done on their problem, right? So why do I say that? So this is going to help you, the freelancer, gauge just how informed the client is about their needs, or whether you still need to take them by the hand and clarify certain things. It also helps you figure out if the client knows enough about their own industry, and why exactly would this client be reaching out to a freelancer to help solve their problem. Question 2. This one is based on their research, the client's research, and how much they expect to pay for your solution, right? So when you ask the client this question, it helps you establish whether the client has a realistic budget. So if they've never done any research whatsoever on their problem, from the first question, then this allows you to advise them. So this question will also allow you to determine what their anchor price, this is a very important thing, is going to be, and whether you'd be willing to proceed with the project. I'll say that again, whether you would be willing to proceed with the project. So just want to put out a caveat and an alert. This question, this type of question, is only for advanced freelancers. If you're still a beginner, it's better to create a pricing catalog. That way you can just hand that over to the client and you don't have to have that awkwardness hanging over your head. Number 2, a value proposition. If you write that down, maybe on a sticky note, and you put it somewhere, you'll know what your value proposition is as a freelancer, and then eventually you'll know it off by heart. And finally, sit down and determine what your unique selling position is, or your USP. Then, when you know all of that, and as time goes by, and you become an advanced freelancer, it'll be okay for you to run to the negotiating table. But until then, I'd rather you have a pricing catalog, know your value proposition, and know your USP. Once you've mastered the art of negotiation, just make sure you include this question. Question 2 is a must. Question 3, who is your ideal client? Not you. Who is your client? Ideal client.
Job description.
Our job is to make the client happy no matter what.
So this question allows you to put yourself in the shoes of your client's customers or your client's ideal client. And then you start to unpack the psychology of the person that they're trying to target. So when you do that, you can audit the client's communication if you're a copywriter or content writer, or even a digital brand strategist. If you're a designer, you can audit their UX, their user experience. You can audit their UI, their user interface, and their overall design. Again, depending on your niche. Then let the client know what they're doing wrong. By having this kind of back and forth with the client before any kind of Zoom meeting, you're already giving the client value. And you're increasing the odds of this client hiring you without a Zoom call. Now, if you have phone anxiety, hi, welcome to the club. Refreshments are over there. Anyway, I use these 10 questions. Well, actually, I'm giving you 5, but I have 10 and more than 10, sometimes 20 questions. But I teach those questions in my free bootcamp for my cohorts. Now, subscribe to the channel to find out when I'll be releasing those trainings again. And when they do come out, please be quick because slots get taken up super fast and I can only handle up to 15 people at a time. So I will do one-on-one with you, all 15 of you. It is a lot and it's all free. So just get in quick. Get in while the getting is good. Our penultimate question, question 4. You ask your client, how does your ideal client or customer find out about you? So why would you ask this question? So this question helps you do in your mind, very fast, by the way, because you are the expert in your niche. You do a very quick SWOT analysis for the client. Again, you're doing this before the client even has an inkling that they're going to hire you. But let's back up. What is a SWOT analysis? So it's S.W.O.T. And the S stands for strength, right? So you'll be able to emphasize to your potential client, and they'll be like, yeah, I know. But you'll be able to emphasize to them what you believe they're excelling at, right? What separates them from their immediate competition. For example, do they have a strong brand if you're doing branding or strategy? Do they have a loyal customer base if you're doing e-commerce? Depending on what your niche is, maybe the client has strong revenue yields, right? If you're doing accounts. Maybe they're a software as a service company or SaaS, and they have unique technology and so on. Then we have our W. That stands for weakness. Now, in as much as the client will have all the stuff that they're crushing at and they'll have all the stuff they're kicking ass at, they'll also have blind spots, right? So these blind spots will help you let the potential client know what's stopping them from optimizing. So which areas they might need to lean up on in order to improve and beat the competition. So what do I mean by lean up? Again, if the client is spending a lot of money, this is if you're doing social media marketing. If the client is spending a lot of money on advertising, but they're new, maybe they could invest in influencer marketing or try to grow organically, right? Then there's the O. That stands for opportunity. What are the suggestions, perhaps, that you would make to this client that would immediately give them a competitive advantage? So listen, if you are not willing to give away value in your unpaid exchange with this potential client, then there's no way that they're going to want to pay you. Think about it. How can they be sure that you actually know your stuff, right? And finally, we have the T. Not the T, but the letter T. So that's the threat. Threats are all the actors that have the potential to harm your client's brand or their company or whatever it is that they're trying to endeavor or complete, or even the project itself, if they just have that one project for you. For example, if you're pitching to, on Upwork for instance, if you're pitching to a naturopathic pharmacy.
Jesus, fix it. Fix it right now, Lord.
So that's one of my previous clients. One of the biggest threats in that niche, the naturopathy or naturopathic pharmacy, the biggest threats is that a lot of people view naturopathy as a pseudoscience, right? So you'll obviously throw value by informing the client that, hey, I know this is your ideal client, but guess what? We need to show them that naturopathic methods can be complementary to pharmaceutical ones. Another client I had was a makeup brand, And to them, the biggest threat has been our current new normal.
The cosmetics maker was not able to manage its debt load. It failed to keep up with rivals that had capitalized on a social media advertising boom. Revlon, which is owned by billionaire Ron Perlman, saw its woes worsened by supply chain issues and more recently by rising inflation.
I won't say the C word. Supply chains are just not what they used to be. There are rising costs for materials. There's increasing competition. I mean, influencers and celebrities are starting to have their own makeup brands. And of course, there's the amount of professionals. Remember the Great Resignation? The labor force that can actually pull off a successful makeup brand launch is super small. Like, very small amount of people can do this well. So there's a shortage of people who are experienced with what your client might want to do. And that is a huge piece of value that you throw in a proposal. And now you've demonstrated that, well, dang, this person knows their stuff. And finally, question 5. Can you send me a piece or bits of information that you believe represent your company or your brand the best? Now be careful with this one. No, it's not for advanced freelancers, but just be careful with this. Back in the day, when I used to ask clients to send me information about their brands as a digital strategist, I used to find myself inundated with PDF upon PDF upon PDF. And because the client didn't know what was the most relevant thing to share, they shared everything. Right? So you need to gently communicate with the client the type of information that's going to help make your job easier, and also let them know how long it's going to take you to get back to them after you look at all that source material that they've sent you. And then follow up. Right? Now you and your potential client have established rapport. So if there are still questions that you have beyond these 5, after initially speaking to the client, then it's time for you to schedule a call with them and ask them those follow-up questions. So you will literally, I'm prompting you, I'm nudging you right now. If you're on Upwork and you've asked them these questions and they've answered some and they haven't really answered others in detail, I'm kind of prompting you to say, I'd love to hop on a Zoom call with you. Let's schedule one in, and then you'll be able to answer these questions, and then I'll know exactly how to present a proposal to you. So the client will see you as engaged, smart, and most importantly, they're going to see you as an expert at what you could potentially be hired to do.
If you've made it this far, stay tuned. Coming up next are scenes from the upcoming upload.
So when you go to a dentist, here's an example. If they're a good dentist, they don't just assume where your pain is coming from. They ask. And once they've asked, there's like a short list of questions that they'll follow up with in order to determine what the root cause of your pain could be. So as an Upwork freelancer, you're a dentist. Why would I say that? The client is already primed and warm. That's why they're on Upwork. They want you to take their money, and you just need to figure out where their pain is coming from, because they might not have properly diagnosed themselves. And that's it, guys. That's how much I use questions. Well, these 5 main questions to beat my competition on Upwork. However, the great thing is that you can use these on any other job board. It doesn't have to be Upwork. You can use them on social media. You can use them on LinkedIn. Their uses are endless. Just these 5 questions. Well, one of them is more advanced, but you catch my drift. Now, if you want to know the nitty-gritty of how to pull off $2,500 weeks or 2.5K weeks or 10K months, be sure to watch my previous video, and of course, download my 10K guide. And if you so choose to follow me on Instagram, send me a DM. And a lot of people don't know this, but it takes a lot of courage to DM someone, especially someone from the internet. I know this, so I will always respond. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, everyone.
I promise you, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to give you the tips that are going to move the needle forward for you, uniquely for your niche or your industry. So, hey you, I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few minutes, less than an hour. Can't wait.